Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Aliyah. I'm a graphic designer who specializes in branding, and today we're going to be doing a full design with me video. I'm going to be showing my entire process, all the way from the font selection to designing the mockups in Photoshop and putting it all together. And we're going to be doing a cafe brand today. It's called Monday Morning Café. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I already had created a mood board and as well as picked some fonts that I thought worked best with the brand's vibe. I wanted the brand to be very calm and natural, so I went ahead and picked some fonts that were very organic looking and imperfect, kind of like handwritten, but still clean and modern. So I went ahead and did that, and then through those fonts, I selected a few that I thought fit the brand most or that stood out to me most. I picked some that were like script fonts as well as ones that were more clean and modern like sans serif fonts, because I really love mixing the two. If you guys haven't noticed in all the other videos or brands that I've shown that I've done, I'm always mixing different types of fonts. So here's the mood board. I wanted to pick some mood board pictures that gave me some ideas of how I wanted to stack the logos or how to put the logos together. I really love this one to the far right. I love like that curve. It's so unique and I love how it looks, especially with a brand like this that's very like organic, calm, and natural vibes. And then I went ahead and started putting together some primary logo ideas. I really love these two, but I wasn't too sure on them yet. So then I wanted to go ahead and I had this idea in my head of when you hold a coffee cup or tea, your hand kind of goes like this, or like your pinky is more up. But I wanted to make sure that in the image you can tell what I'm trying to get across. So I just lifted my fingers and took a picture of my own hand using my phone. And then I went ahead and imported it into Photoshop and played around with the threshold just so I can get like a very clean illustration looking, but also that had some detail, so it made it feel like more organic. I wanted to see where we could go with this, so I went ahead and put it into Adobe Illustrator and did image trace and just played around with the settings with that. I then put it above the primary logo. It's not the for sure primary logo yet, but I wanted to see how it looked, so it was very plain, so I added a border. I wasn't really loving it yet, so I wanted to go ahead and try something else. I got ChatGPT to generate an image for me of a mug, kind of looks like a handmade pottery mug, very like organic looking, to go again with the vibe of the brand. And then I did the same thing, put it into Photoshop, played around with the threshold, put it into Adobe Illustrator, and I still wasn't really feeling this. I had visioned it a lot different in my head, but I wanted to try it out anyway. I didn't like any of that, so I went ahead and found a picture of a mug and then some coffee beans, did the same effects to them. But then I had this idea of putting it together with my hand like this, so it's like you are holding the mug, basically back to my original idea. And then did that. I wasn't really feeling the threshold look that it gave with like it was too much detail, so it wouldn't really work for using it as a logo, maybe for brand illustrations or brand assets, but not for the logo. So then I went ahead and made it into a silhouette, and I think it looked a lot better, and then added some bordering around it just to tie it all in together. And then back to the mood board of the image that I really liked to the far right. I had the curved lettering with the illustration or something in the middle. I thought that would look really good, so I wanted to go ahead and try that out for myself. First I tried with an oval and then using the type on path tool to see how it would look and how it would come together. When I added it in the illustration, you can see how curved it was. I don't know how to explain it, but like it wasn't the curve I was going for. So then I tried again with using the rectangle tool and then just rounding out the corners, and I think that made a lot better shape. It made a shape that I actually had envisioned a lot more than the too much of the curve with the oval. So I went ahead and did that, did the type on path again, and then put the illustration in there to see how it would look, and I think this one looked a lot better, so I went ahead and scrapped the other one. I left these parts in there just so you guys can see like how much of a process it is. I didn't even leave everything, but it's truly such a process. It's just like playing around and seeing what works and trying to get your ideas to come to life. And one habit that I do have when creating things in Illustrator is using the rectangle tool to create a rectangle, and then using that as like a baseline to like measure out, make sure everything's straight and proportionate. And then I went ahead and just put together the primary logo, secondary logos, and just logo variations for this brand. I put one with just the words, so it's very clean, and then this one is my favorite one with the curve that we did. I think it's super pretty, and it kind of like brings everything together. And another one, another variation of just the words, and then the illustration by itself. as well as everything together. So I went ahead and made a slogan for this brand, and we called it Time Takes Root. So, and then I put that together with the illustration as well as the brand name, but it felt unbalanced. So I went ahead and added From Earth, From Craft on either side just to make it feel more balanced. And I think it looks really good. And my next step, getting a picture from Pinterest that contained some colors that I thought would go with this brand. So really like warm, neutral colors. And then I went ahead and used the eyedropper tool to directly select the colors from it to put it onto a shape like you saw here, where I use the rectangle shape or any shape you guys could use, just to color drop and see what works. And then just to make sure the color palette works, I went ahead and applied it to all the logo variations that I made, and right away I knew it didn't work. So I went ahead and got another color palette, applied that, the same thing, applied it all to the logo variations just to see the colors work with each other. And just by doing that, I knew right away the vibe was off. This color palette did not match the brand's mood. It was too like fall and like kind of reminded me of Halloween, which I did not want any of that. We're going for calm vibes. So I went ahead and played around until I got this color palette, and I love the greens a lot. And then I went ahead and got ChatGPT to generate some images for me. I gave it some prompts to generate these images. I'm not the best at giving prompts to ChatGPT. I'm still learning that, but it's a really fun way to make unique mock-ups or images that you can use to represent your brand. So I went ahead and got one of a iced coffee on a counter within a cafe, and I told it the vibes I wanted for the cafe, and I think it did really good there in making it. So I did that one, as well as a coffee cup on the ground in like grassy area. And then I did another one with different variations of drinks in the same cafe place. And that one kind of looked like it was AI generated. You can really tell. So I wasn't sure about using that. So I wanted to go ahead and mock all of these up in Adobe Illustrator and see how they go. So what I do is I drag the logo onto where I want it on the image. And then if you select all, so the logo as well as the image, and you right click the option at the bottom saying mockup. So if you hover over it, then it would pop up create mockup. It's a really cool tool that Adobe Illustrator has, and it really comes in handy. So I went ahead and did that to all 3 images, just repeating the same process. And then what I like to do within this process is pull up the transparency window and then play around with the opacity of everything. And then I went ahead and found a mock-up on Envato Elements. It's of these like to-go iced coffee cups that you can find in like convenience stores or grocery stores. And I wanted this brand to have one, and I felt like it was a cool idea to incorporate. So I went ahead and did that. And as you can see, as you open the PSD file into Photoshop, and then you'll have all these options on the right, which is where you can place your design. Usually they'll mark it like your design here. A tip for you guys is that instead of exporting all the logos or assets you want to use from Adobe Illustrator into the mockup, you can just copy and paste it directly. It's a lot easier and saves so much time. When I first saw someone do that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know you can do that. So definitely implement that if that's what you do, or if you didn't know that already. So I just played around with placements and colors and things like that. And for the colors, what I'll do is I just go into Adobe Illustrator, copy the hex code, and then paste it into Photoshop where the color needs to go. And it's super easy. I love that people make these graphic templates. It makes them so much easier when creating mockups, other than doing it from scratch or having to edit a whole image in Photoshop and create one from scratch. This is so much easier, and it comes in hand. And I think mockups are the best part of a brand because they're what brings it to life. And I feel like your logo or your design can be so amazing, but if your mockup is lacking, it totally takes away from everything and the potential of it. And then I went ahead, just repeated this. I got some paper bag mockups in Envato Elements again, and then just did that. So because this cafe is gonna sell like pastries or sandwiches, I thought it was a good way of showing the brand in action. So just repeating the same process of copy and paste and changing the colors and just customizing it to what you want it to be within Photoshop. And then here I was just repeating these same steps again for the mockups. I wanted to use this little sleeve or a little baggie you would put a pastry in, and just customize that to fit with the brand. And once I was in with that, I went ahead and imported them into Adobe Illustrator and tried to place them around on an artboard. I already sized my artboards to where I'm going to post them. So this one I was going to post on Instagram, so it's 1080 by 1350 pixels. So I go ahead and just place that on there and size it to where I want it to be, because I don't really like putting blank backgrounds anymore in the back, like just a color for the background. I went ahead and actually used an image that I took in Banff and put that as the background, and then use it again for another background of a t-shirt mock-up that I also created. Fun fact, Banff actually inspired me to do this brand. It's more like of a nature cafe. Here is the completed mock-ups. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys would have done differently, or something I really want to know is, where do you guys find your mock-ups? What's your go-to website or place for mock-ups, or do you create them yourself? And that's all for Monday Morning Cafe and its branding process. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I would love to know what you guys think or what you guys would have done differently. And also, one question I do have for you guys is, what part of the process would you want me to go deeper into or more in detail onto? If there is, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And I'd love some suggestions on what you guys would like to see next, what kind of branding, or would you guys like to see something different, like a different design process, maybe posters, t-shirts, something like that. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video.